In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to create the toolpaths to cut apart you can see on your screen. For this, we are going to use a layout that we created in the previous Design and Make project video. Okay, to get started, we're going to go ahead and open up the file that we created in the last tutorial. So we're going to open an existing file, and we're going to navigate over to our tutorials folder, and we're going to find the file called Design and Make project.crv. Let's select that and then click Open. Now to get a better look at this, we should tile our views top to bottom. In the top here, you can see we have our 2D view, and in the bottom we have our 3D composite model, and we can look around that and see what we did in that last tutorial. Let's have a look straight down on that. In this video, we're going to start off by showing you how quick and easy it is to develop 3D tooling to cut this. Then we're going to take it one step farther and show you how to create some more efficient tooling for this job so that not only can you save some time, but you may even get yourself a better surface finish on some of the areas of your cut. To get started on creating our toolpaths, we're going to need to open up our Toolpaths tab. And the tab is located on the upper right-hand side of your window. We'll click that and we'll pin that down. We may as well just go ahead and retile our views. That way we're going to be able to see the maximize and minimize windows controls here, which are hidden right now underneath our Toolpaths tab. And there we have it. That looks great. Now, like all of our jobs, when we go to start developing toolpaths for these, we should check our material setup to make sure that it's still what we expect. So let's set that. Our material thickness is going to be 1 inch. Our datum when we were laying out our design was set to the center. But because we're creating tooling now, let's move it to our lower left. Our Z0 is going to be off our material surface. We need to make sure our model is positioned properly within our material. So we can just use this little slider here to control where it's going to show up in our material. So I move it up and down. You can see the light brown area moving up and down in my material. But for me, I want it moved all the way to the very top. I want to choose gap below the model. And that way it'll put the remainder of the material thickness at the bottom of my model to give me a bit of backing. I'm going to make sure my rapid Z gaps are set to something that's safe and appropriate for my machine, and same with the home and start position, and then click OK. Now the first toolpath we're going to create is called a 3D roughing toolpath. And this will remove the majority of material so that we can go back in with our smaller finishing cutter and get all the nice details that we like to have. So for now, we're going to go ahead and select the tool. And from our tool database, we're going to choose our 1/4 inch end mill, and we're going to click select. We're going to make sure we have material boundary selected. This will be the machining limit. So the software will figure out where the boundary is of our composite model and only cut up to the edge of that, plus whatever boundary offset we have included here. In this case, we wanted to overshoot that line by 1/4 of an inch. We want to leave behind 0.04 of an inch of material. We're going to use the Z-level roughing strategy. It's the quickest for this sort of job. Our raster angle is going to be set to 0. We're not going to use any ramp or plunge moves. And we're just going to take the 1 off the end of our toolpath name and then click calculate. And like always, we should preview our toolpaths after they're done calculating. That way we can check to make sure it's exactly what we expect. And that is exactly what I expected to have happen. So I'm not going to make any edits to that toolpath now. So let's look straight down that again. And let's close this. The next toolpath we're going to want to create is our 3D finishing pass. So let's just go ahead and have a look at that. And currently right now we have one tool selected in our tools box here. We're going to remove that tool and we're going to select a brand new one. In this case, we're going to go ahead and choose our desktop machine. We're going to make sure that we use our Imperial tools, and we are going to choose the 1/8 inch ball nose, and we're going to hit select. Now again, we're going to choose to machine up to our model boundary, and the software will calculate that for us. We're going to overshoot that by less than the 1/4 inch that we had with our roughing pass. We're only going to go over that 0.15 of an inch. We're going to use not offset tooling, but we're going to use our raster toolpath. And we're going to change this to finish, 3D finish, and then we'll just calculate that. And then we'll preview that visible toolpath. And we'll take a nice look at that. And that looks really good and clean. It looks quite nice in the end. And then we're going to go ahead and look down that again and close that. Now for our next toolpath, we need to create a VCarving toolpath to get that vintages text in there. So let's go over to our VCarving toolpath. And we're going to choose a start depth of 0 and a non-flat depth. We're doing this because we're actually going to use this box at the bottom in the end called Project Toolpath onto 3D Model. So while we're down here, we may as well just go ahead and click that. And that'll make sure that the software will actually take that VCarving toolpath and project it onto the 3D surface underneath that toolpath. So that should end up right along on the top of the surface of this model here. We're going to use a 90-degree V-bit. That's perfectly fine. If not, I could go ahead and select a new tool, but I'm happy with that. We're not going to use any clearance tools. We're going to make sure that we have this checked here. Okay, just double check that to make sure that's okay. And we can just delete the one off that and we can calculate it. And I had forgotten to choose some vectors, so let's click OK and go back and choose our text, and then we can calculate that. And then again, let's preview that visible toolpath. And that's what we have. Now, if we felt like it and we wanted to color that toolpath in, we could go up here and we could change the machine area color. So we could change the toolpath color to be maybe black, and you see that it shows up in your 3D view blackened, and it looks like it's almost been painted in. That looks pretty nice. Now for this last toolpath, we are going to need something to cut this layout out of our piece of material, and that's called a profile cut or a cutout pass. So we're going to need to have a vector for that. So let's go over to our modeling tab, and we're going to choose all of our clip art. So select the top component, hold down my shift key, and then the bottom component. Now typically we would just only choose the clip art that makes up the border of our layout, but it makes it a little bit easier for us just to choose everything, and the software will ignore the bits that it doesn't need to draw a line around. So we're going to choose this function right here called Create Vector Boundary Around Selected Components, and we can choose that. And you'll see that in the 2D view, we now have a vector outline here, or a boundary. Now you'll also notice that there are some tiny little areas here that we don't need to use as our cutout toolpath. So to easily get rid of that, with that vector selected, we can right click on it, and we can go to ungroup back onto original objects layers. And then what we want to do is we just want to hold down our shift key and unselect the border vector. And that'll keep the remaining two little vectors here that we don't want selected. And then we can press delete on our keyboard. And there we have just that one outline vector that we need to create our profile cut. So with that selected, let's go over to our profile toolpath. And for this one, we're going to have a start depth of 0. And our cut depth is going to be Z. And then we're going to press equals. And what that will do is the software will go ahead and find out what the Z thickness of our material is and place that in this field. We can go and uncheck our Show Advanced Toolpath options. We're going to use a 1/4" end mill. We're going to cut outside of that vector boundary. We're not going to use ramp or plunge moves. In this case, we're not going to add any tabs, but you might want to do this if you're actually going to run this toolpath and cut it out. If you don't have a vacuum table, then of course you're going to need those tabs so that your part will stay in place. And we're going to call this cutout. And then we can go ahead and calculate that. We'll preview that visible toolpath. And then in the 3D view, we can go ahead and just click on this waste material, and this will show you what exactly will happen when we run those toolpaths on your machine. And that looks pretty nice. Now at this point, you could go ahead and save out those toolpaths and run them on your CNC machine, and it would cut just as you see it in the 3D preview. Now there are ways that we can make it so that you will not only get a nicer surface finish potentially, but you'll also be able to save some time when you're cutting this. And let me just go ahead and demonstrate a couple of those ideas for you right now. So to get started, we're going to reset our preview, close this down. Now the idea is that we're wasting a lot of time cutting the flat areas of this layout with the small 1/8" ball nose end mill. And if we could use a bigger flat end mill for that, we would not only save some time, but we may also even get a nicer surface finish in the end. So in order to do that, we need to develop some vectors that will surround those areas that we want to use that end mill to cut and not have the ball nose end mill go in and recut for us. So to do that, what we're going to do is maximize our 2D view, press F on our keyboard to fit that to our screen. And we're going to select a few of these components. By holding down our shift key, we're going to select the leaf, the wine glass, the wine bottle, the other wine glass, and the other leaf. And these are the components that actually overlap the top of our plaque here. And then we're going to go ahead and create a vector boundary from that. And if we off click that, you'll see that we have this nice vector boundary here, which is perfect. And the next boundary we need is going to be the one that goes around the outside of our plaque. So let's choose that, and we'll get a boundary from that. Now, if we subtract away the areas that are inside of this boundary from the plaque boundary, then the result of that will be the flat space of our plaque. Now, what we also want to do is we want to try and get the detail here that's on the edge or the bevel of this outside plaque here, on the outside edge of this plaque. And to do that, we're going to choose this vector and we're going to offset that inwards. So in our drawing tab, we're going to choose offset, and we're going to offset inwards about 0.175 of an inch. And then we'll click offset and we can close that down. Now we can just go ahead and manually delete this vector here. We don't need that anymore. So now we can go ahead and subtract the leaf vector from the actual plaque vector. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and grab our plaque vector first, hold down our shift key and select the leaf vector, which also includes all these other vectors. And we're going to choose to subtract. And when we do that, you'll see what's left over is our vector that just sits and encompasses only the flat area on top of this. Now, what we might want to do is, because there's no way that our end mill is going to be able to get into these areas, we're going to use the same thing that we did when we were developing our profile vector. We're just going to go ahead and check to see if this is a group. So we'll right click on it and it gives us the option to group it so it's not a group already. So we can press escape, hold down our shift key, and we'll select just the boundary we want to keep, and that will take it out of our selection. And then we can press delete, and there we have it in the end, just this one vector that we want to use. Let's go ahead and tile our views, and we can develop our new tooling. To make this easy, we already have some toolpaths created, so we can just go ahead and update those with new vectors. So first of all, let's have a look at our roughing path. Let's double click on that, and we're going to hold down our shift key, and we're going to choose this outside vector and then this inside vector. Okay, and then we're going to make sure that we choose selected vectors as our machining limit boundary, because we want it to only machine in between these two vectors, and we can just go ahead and recalculate that. And you see the change in the 3D view here. It's missing all of this area right here. So we can go ahead and preview that visible toolpath, and that should be left behind for us to get later. That looks great. So let's look straight down on that again, and let's close that down. Now again, let's update our finishing toolpaths. Double click on that. And we have those two vectors selected. We're going to use that same tool, but we're going to make sure that we choose selected vectors here again. And then we can just go ahead and recalculate that. And we can preview that visible tooling. And you'll see again that we're only going to clean up around those areas that we had the vectors, or in between the vectors that we had selected, and this material still left behind. Let's look straight down on that again. Now we need to create a toolpath that's going to remove that material off the flat spots of our plaque. And to do that, we're going to use a toolpath called a pocket toolpath, and that's located here under our Toolpath Operations, the second icon in. If you just click that, you'll see it's the pocket toolpath. And we're going to define a start depth of 0, and we're going to define a cut depth of the height or the depth of this plaque piece. In order to figure that out, we can just hover over that. And if you look down here in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a negative Z height there. We're going to convert that into a positive Z height at 0.3598. So we're going to put 0.3598. And we are going to use only a 1/4 inch end mill. So we're going to remove that 1/8 inch end mill out of there by clicking remove. Now, currently right now, we have two vectors selected in our 2D view. And all we really want is just this one that's sitting, or is the boundary of this flat area of our plaque piece. So to do that, we're going to hold down our shift key and unselect that outside boundary. We're going to use a raster tooling for this particular toolpath. That way that any of our machining lines will line up with our 3D tooling that we did to cut these 3D components. We're not going to use any ramp or plunge moves. We're not going to use any vector selection order. We're definitely not going to project this onto our 3D model, and we're just going to rename this pocket, and we're going to click calculate. And you'll see that now we get a toolpath that's going to cut away the material that's proud of our plaque piece. So let's just preview that visible toolpath, and we'll see what we get in the end. And we get this nice flat area on top of our plaque. And now we just need to drag this into place in the right order that we want it to be. So if we hold down our left mouse button and drag it up just above the VCarve, let's have a look at our VCarve toolpath again. Let's preview that. And you'll see that it still lies flat on top of that. And we can use our same cutout pass if we'd like to cut this out with. And there we have it. Let's maximize our 3D view and have a look at this up close. Now, both ways of creating toolpath are very valid for this type of job. Some people like to not worry about how much time it's going to take and just start up their machine and walk away. Others like to be able to optimize the tooling a little bit more. What you get in the end is a couple more tool changes, but you may end up saving yourself a lot of time. Now, if you want to go ahead and learn how to save off the toolpaths from this job, have a look at our Toolpath Savings Guide.